Hello there, Star Wars fans. What do you think of Episode 4 of Star Wars Resistance Fuel for Fire? I share my thoughts in this video, but first I want to say I'm Mike and welcome you back to Star Wars Speculation, where we love the anticipation and speculation that leads up to Star Wars releases. So hit that subscribe button and join our community today. But let's get back to the episode Fuel for Fire. The conflict of the story between Rucklin and Kaz wasn't the greatest. Rucklin, the mean kid, was pretending to befriend Kaz so that he could steal from Kaz's boss, Yeager. Overall, it's very easy to dismiss this story and think that it was far too kiddie. But within that not-so-interesting plot, there are a lot of interesting questions raised, and the setting of Colossus is developed to feel even more amazing. I absolutely love the reveal that there are young pilots and mechanics, teams of people struggling to become the next ace on the Colossus station. We see this, of course, in Rucklin's team. They are willing to lie, cheat, and even steal to ensure that they become the next ace on the Colossus station. And I really hope we get to see more pilots like this in the future. And even a return of Elijah Wood playing Rucklin would be pretty awesome. But moving beyond that, we also get a lot of relationship development between Yeager and Kaz that's easy to miss. At the beginning of this episode, Yeager is extremely hard on Kaz, but later we hear him talk to Tam about how she should give Kaz a break. And later at the end, we see that Yeager really starts to understand that Kaz, he's a naive person, he makes mistakes, but he's a good person. And I really think this is a key point in Star Wars Resistance. It's where Kaz has won over Yeager and really cemented his place in Team Fireball. So despite the fact that at face value, Yeager can be very hard on Kaz and probably will continue to be very hard on him, we know Yeager is going to be a little more willing to take the time to teach Kaz. We know in the future that we're going to see this relationship develop, and Yeager is most likely going to take on more of a mentor role. But that key development in Yeager and Kaz's relationship wasn't the only thing. We also got some really cool reveals about Yeager's past. He was part of the Battle of Jakku, which makes me think we could get some flashbacks to the Battle of Jakku, which would be amazing. Even if we just got more images or a story told by Yeager, that would be pretty amazing. Plus, we see the image of Yeager and his family, and I believe it's on Batuu, and I'm guessing that Yeager probably lost that family during the rebellion, during the Galactic Civil War. So again, this episode seemed very Saturday morning cartoonish, but if you look a little deeper, there's real development in the setting of the Colossus and the relationship between Yeager and Kaz. So now on to an extended discussion about the episode with Andy of Resistance and Rebels Transmissions on Twitter and Facebook, and Nick, also known as Official Bosk, on Twitter and Facebook. Let's move on to episode 3, if that was episode 2. Forget to put down the title, but it is with Chase Rucklin, and he is voiced by Elijah Wood. What did you guys think of, Andy, let's start with you. What did you think of, this character and his crew?
I think this episode was called Fuel and Fire or something like that.
Fuel and Fire, that's it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I kind of like these characters. They sort of reminded me of characters from Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you guys have seen that, or Legend of Korra, like this group of kind of teenagers who are kind of friends, sort of, pretending to be friends with Kaz. I don't know why, but they just sort of reminded me of those types of characters. I didn't realize Elijah Wood actually voiced this character. I knew he was in this series, but I didn't actually realize it was him. But yeah, I like them. It was sort of a fun episode.
Yeah, what really stood out to me is that we've seen the aces and we know that there's this Team Fireball, but it was cool to see that there's other sort of lesser pilots struggling to try and, to become an ace themselves, right? Like, I thought that was really, it gave the Colossus some more depth, and that, the whole racing a bit more depth as well. And of course, it points out just how naive Kaz is. Absolutely. But before we move on there anymore, Nick, what did you think of Chase Rucklin and the crew as well?
Oh, I hated those characters. I mean, I just hated them. I mean, hate is a strong word, but I just dislike the characters just because they're really not that great off development. Yes, they were trying to get the hyperfuel to actually win the races to get out of Colossus, but I think they should have done these characters a wee bit better instead of them trying to get into Yeager's office. And we learn a wee bit more about Yeager. He did have a family. We don't know what happened to Yeager's family, but we know he fought in the rebellion with Poe and all that stuff. So it's just going to be really awesome to see more development with Yeager throughout the series, because I want to learn more about Yeager as a character, because we really don't know anything about Yeager apart from he fought in the rebellion at the Battle of Jakku as well. So it's just going to be very interesting to see his character development.
Yeah, absolutely. I was moving on to my next question there, and I would say he didn't fight in the rebellion with Poe. It was probably Poe's parents, right? Poe wasn't around for the rebellion, but I get what you're saying. And then one of the other interesting points before we get onto your thoughts about this, Andy, is that JJ actually pointed out to me, my buddy on Twitter there, pointed out to me that in the background of the image of Yeager's family, that's something else we discovered in the episode, right? That he had a family in the past. The background there, it actually looks like Batuu. Am I saying that right? It's the location of the new Disney. So if you look at the background of that image and the image of Batuu.
Yeah. It's in the new Thrawn novel with Anakin and Padme, I think, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. It just looked Jakku from like a distance when you looked at it. But as you know, you guys reminded me that I did read the Thrawn novel, and the Thrawn novel is just brilliant. And I hope we actually do get to see Batuu, maybe in this series. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I think you're right in the fact that the image of him, Nick, with the Star Destroyer in the background in the Rebel flight suit, that would be Jakku, I believe. What did you think, about this development in Yeager's character?
Well, I thought it was definitely the most interesting part of the episode. I'm really interested in Yeager and his sort of background with the Rebel Alliance now. And I'm guessing he must have been in the New Republic at some point if he knows Poe Dameron so well. So yeah, I'm just very, very interested. I also really like the inclusion of the hyperfuel from Solo. I thought that was a really cool connection to that film, and how obviously it's really unstable, which we find out in this episode. It has a very similar effect to what sort of happened with the Falcon, although the Falcon didn't blow up quite so much in Solo. Nearly blow up though, this is sort of just a random thought, but those photographs that Yeager had of himself when he was younger, I love those illustrations. I hope they post them somewhere. I'm just like, I need to see that sort of really kind of blown up and sort of in detail. It's got this sort of anime kind of 2D style to it, and I love that. So yeah, I hope they post those on the episode guides or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And there's also, of course, his racing ship that they're trying to get into initially to see, or at least that's what Rucklin was saying. And it builds a lot of mystery about Yeager, and it's cool that we're going to obviously be learning more and more about that character. But I like the fact that there's like I said, this mystery around him, and that we don't actually just get right to it. But do you guys have anything else to say about the episode?
I mean, I really enjoyed the episode altogether, and I'm really starting to like the series. At first, when the series got revealed, I think they done a terrible job at revealing the series. And I think they could have done the reveal a wee bit better, then it would have got a lot of hate from everyone in the Star Wars community. And after, when people have watched some of the episodes, they may change their minds, because I've been reading through Twitter for Star Wars Resistance, and a lot of people have changed their minds about the show.
I think, what people tend to forget is it takes a while. There's usually some hardcore people get into these animation shows, and then they recommend it, right? When we can pull in and say, hey, you really need to be able to watch this because it ties into Force Awakens like this, right? Whatever is going to happen in these upcoming episodes, if we can take that to our friends, then they go and watch it. But I think that really happened a lot with the Clone Wars, especially putting the Clone Wars on Netflix and making it so available to so many people. There was a lot of people, I think, watched Clone Wars after the fact. And there were a lot of people with Rebels as well, right? People who enjoy Star Wars and want to watch it, but weren't up to date every week, but are getting caught up on it. So I think the same will be here with Resistance, absolutely. But I want to say a big thank you again to Nick and Andy for joining me. And remember, folks, to use the Force within you to make the Star Wars community a better place by sharing your theories and speculation. And you can do that by answering the question of the day: what did you think of Episode 4? Thanks for watching Star Wars Speculation, and may the Force be with you.